Train the muscles, not the joints.
Mountain. Welcome back to Natural Gallant Bodybuilding, and today I'm going to talk to you about the most anabolic natural bodybuilding diet tip that I have or that I've seen so far when it comes down to training. Now, this may be a little bit different for each person, but this is something that I've noticed. It's a phenomenon that I've noticed with my own physique and also with people who compete quite a bit, especially when they're doing lower carb, higher protein, higher green vegetable type diets. And this is a phenomenon that you might be interested in. So as a general rule, when you see people compete for a long period of time, you'll see that they make more gains over the long run. And the biggest difference between them and the average dedicated gym rat is that they go through these diets, these deficit diets, or you could say these diets where they focus on stabilizing their blood sugar for 2, 3, or 4 months at a time, and then they come off of that diet and then they saturate their body. So it's almost like their body has this increased ability or enhanced ability to absorb nutrients. Now, my theory on this is that they have reset their insulin sensitivity through this method. Now, something that you can do in your training is that you can stay with a moderate or lower carb or really good glycemic index type carb for weeks at a time, maybe 1, 2, 3 weeks at a time, and then go through 2 or 3 days where you eat a higher amount of carbohydrates, and you'll notice that your body has a tendency to fill out, get a better pump, and look better than ever before. And you can maintain this for maybe a few days, maybe a week before you start to put on body fat. Now, the minute you start putting on body fat, then go back down to that stable blood sugar type diet again. Once again, you go back to the greens, the proteins, and depending on the person will depend on what the carbohydrate intake should be. Somebody just commented down below and said they feel like crap and they're doing about 100 grams of carbs a day. That might be too low for some people and it might be just right for others, or maybe too much, right? So for myself, I find around 100 grams of carbs a day, you know, around there, maybe 125, 140 grams is pretty low carbohydrate eating for me. And when I do this for a period of time, maybe 3 weeks or a month, I start losing body fat, I start looking better, my muscles start feeling more pumped in a good way. But then there's this point to where I know that I can gain some benefit from increasing my carbohydrates for a day or two. And during this time, I noticed that my muscles become more saturated better than ever, and then you get those monster pumps, and you actually put on muscle mass at that point from the carbohydrates. It looks like you actually fill out, you start to become less catabolic because carbohydrates do have a protein sparing effect. So this can also help. So what I'd recommend to you is to do a lower carbohydrate, high protein, high green vegetable diet for a period of time, whatever low is for you. You know, it might be different, like I said before. And then from there, go through a super saturation week or super saturation 4 or 5 days of eating a higher amount of carbohydrates, maybe double or triple what you normally eat, along with the same protein intake. And then bang, you come right back down to the stable blood sugar diet again. So here I am with some turkey sausages here that I'm gonna make. There's about 17 grams of protein for every 100 grams. And this package is around 500 grams. So 5 times 17, do the math, you know, a lot of grams of protein in there. And yeah, I'm just waiting for them to defrost right now. And then I cook them on the stove, and usually I add some broccoli, but I was out of broccoli today. So this is a standard sort of meal that I use right now. Turkey sausages, they are low fat, but at the same time they get made pretty fast. So yeah, good meal. You may notice that you'll break through some plateaus or maybe get bigger than ever. And a couple of you have commented on this channel. Sometimes I go through periods of time where I look a little bigger. Well, that's usually what's happened, is that I've went through a diet phase for a period of time and then I increase the carbs. Now, the only thing that would be a mistake is that I did it for too long. And then of course you have a rebound effect where you start to put on some body fat and then your insulin sensitivity starts to go down. So yeah, I mean, this is definitely worth trying. It's like a rebounding. It's like using the rebound energy of your body in order to gain more muscle mass and then to become a super large mountain. Get pumpy and bumpy. Mountain. It's important to note that some people use this same diet technique with fat loading. So they'll have low fat for a period of time, then they'll go higher fat. So it is normal to do a little bit higher fat in your diet when you are going lower in the carbohydrates. But at the same time, you can play around with this, but one thing I have noticed is that anything that helps you with stabilizing that blood sugar is going to be good for you in the long run. And then from there, when you do start to saturate that body with a lot of food, then it will have a greater capacity to absorb it and maybe rebound or push through any plateau that you're at that time. Thanks a lot for watching. If you need to get a hold of me, just go to naturalgallantbodybuilding.com, and thanks to the Patreon supporters, and take care for now. All right. This is another can of sardines for me.